Hey, welcome back to B2B Outbound. This week we're talking all things B2B gifting with the wonderful Manny over at Barney.
Manny, do you remember what your first gift was?
I
Was it an
remember, I remember as a child. I don't know if you guys will remember this. There used to be something, I think it's called Stretch Armstrong. I don't know if Armstrong is the right word, but he
Oh,
was very stretchy.
that's classic.
Um, and, so my mum, it's not such a thing anymore, but as a kid, we used to have Argos catalogue, and I used to just circle
Love it.
everything I wanted. And my mum used to, to be fair, she used to deliver. She's a great mum, and she always got me everything I wanted. I was very lucky. Stretch Armstrong was something I was desperate for back then. Terrestrial TV, adverts of toys, 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 and yeah, I love that toy because you could literally. It's like the kids' version of Play-Doh now. I think kids love. Obviously, I've got two young children. They love Play-Doh. We didn't necessarily have so much Play-Doh. It's more about Stretch Armstrong. Cool.
First gift, Chris. Can you remember your first gift?
I don't know if I don't know if I can remember that far back, but I think if we go nostalgic, I'll say something like Pogs. Got given some Pogs when I was at school from a friend. That's pretty
Jeez.
memorable.
No, my first gift that I received was a filofax. That's how much my mum loved me. She got me a filofax. So that's the first thing I can remember is a filofax. Do you remember those filofax?
Yeah.
I think it was like a kid's like version of a filofax where you like put little notes in and stuff. Destined to be organised.
There's me and Manny heading off to school with Pogs in on our football stick and everything else, and James rocks up with his fighter bags.
Oh man, I had a friend that turned up to school. First day of school, he turned up with a briefcase. So, it wasn't me. Why are we talking about gifts on the B2B Outbound podcast? So, Chris, we recently invested in Manny's company, Barney. So, obviously, we needed Manny on the podcast to chat all things gifting, all things Barney. Um, Manny, do you want to do a quick intro? Like, what is Barney?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, guys. So, first and foremost, I'm Manny, the commercial director of Barney. Barney is essentially a sending platform that allows you to send gifts, so personalized gifts, e-gifts, and swag to your prospects, clients, and employees in a nutshell. It allows you to track and measure your campaigns, integrate with your CRM or your HR databases and things like that. So it really allows you to measure the success of sending gifts essentially as a business.
Love it. And yeah, we invested about a year ago um, because at Punch we absolutely love gifting. We send gifts to prospects, clients, the team, and we did a lot of it pre-COVID. And we'll get into kind of what's happened since COVID to the world of gifting. But we, yeah, when we met you, Manny, we just absolutely fell in love with what you and what your wife Ras are doing, your co-founders, and yeah, we just had to get involved. Do you want to just sort of share how did you come up with the idea for Barney? What's your background? What's the story?
Yeah, so we launched a corporate a gifting business in 2017. Initially, the thought process was to launch as a D2C, but that we quickly worked out that actually B2B was where it's at in terms of gifting. My wife has a HR background. She was a HR professional at the time, and she had realized there was a gap in the market for real quality corporate gifts, but not just for employees, but for customers and prospects as well. So we developed, this business. It was Build My Gift at the time, and we used to work with several businesses in terms of very campaign led. They'd have, a certain use case, and they'd come to us and say, "Look, guys, we've got an event in a couple of months' time. We need to send some gifts, or we've got an employee morale issue, and we need to solve this challenge." And we'd come up with campaigns, and we'd work with businesses, throughout the year. When we came across you guys, Punch, we had a feeling that streamlining the process would be something that is needed to, we need to do. Is there a way to do that? How can we ensure that gifting isn't just campaign led, but more fluent throughout the year? So we came up with Barney, which is more of a streamlined process of sending gifts through the platform, allowing businesses not only to send, on a campaign basis, but more so um, on an everyday basis. If they want to send coffee vouchers, if they want to send lunch vouchers, if they want to send swag, as I mentioned at the top of the call, it can be done very efficiently and in a very streamlined process via the platform.
Yeah, because we started working with you because we had a need around sending new customers like awesome onboarding packs. Because we saw some statistic. Actually, I think Alex Hormozy talks about it a lot, whereby the first 24 hours of a new client relationship are like the most important in terms of
Yeah.
that client is making a decision as to whether they want to stay with this company, this supplier, long term or not, and the first 24 hours are super important. So we came to you with the brief that we wanted an onboarding pack, and you guys were awesome. You helped to like collate this fantastic client onboarding pack, all themed around growth. There's an avocado vase, and I don't want to give it away in case any of our listeners become customers, but you pulled it all together and you were sort of housing it in your warehouse, and every time we want a new client, we'd come to you, we'd send you an order form. You would send, or you keep, to this day, you're sending to our customers these onboarding packs. And then at that point, we discussed a way that we could maybe invest in your business, and are there other touch points during the sort of customer journey that we can be sending gifts to? Because we did a lot of gifting, as I said, pre-COVID. Why is Barney called Barney? Like, where did you come up with the name for the platform?
Yeah, so Barney, I think I mentioned to you, James, that my daughter is called Barney. Our daughter, should I say, is Barney, and you and one of the other guys, one of the other shareholders is Daniel. He also loved the name Barney, so you both loved it, ran with it. I think Barney is playful, and I think we are trying to ultimately say, look, gifting does not just need to be taken too seriously. It's important, it's impactful, it makes a huge impression, but it doesn't need to be taken too seriously. And Barney can make it easy, convenient, fun, as well as, impactful. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's interesting. I think it's funny how you talk about how it's evolved as well. Obviously, where you started the business as a corporate gifting business for HR staff incentives, company gifts. I think where we before we even knew you guys over the years, we've done lots of campaigns, whether it's ABM campaigns or outbound sales campaigns, marketing campaigns, where we've been big believers of something impactful that's going to make a difference, but it has to tie into that proposition. What's the unique proposition that this campaign's communicating? How can it tie into that? So if it's a campaign about vitality or health or well-being, let's make sure a 6-foot orange tree rocks up at their office opposed to a ruler or whatever it's going to be. And I think that's where particularly what we like with you guys. I think where the platform's evolved is how we're using it from a sales, marketing, that kind of dopamine hit and everything else. But more so, we're not talking about rulers and mugs and pencils and swag. It's curated, bespoke, impactful gifts that are going to make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll probably go into this in a bit more detail, but understanding your recipient is hugely important when it comes to gifting. If you don't send something that's relevant to them, not necessarily about their character, but even from a timing perspective, it will just not have the same level of impact. So it's about understanding why are you sending it, who are you sending it to, what's your use case here? Are you trying to get them to attend, just accept a meeting that you're sending, or are you getting them to, are you trying to convert them? Are you trying to retain them? Are you trying to get them to be an advocate and shout about you from the rooftops? What's your goal here? And also, who are you sending to? So if you're sending to a director, you need, X level of gift. If you're sending just to an associate, it's going to be a totally different level of gift. But it's about understanding, who you're sending it to and who they are as a person as well.
There's a report released recently that mentioned that 63% of customers who receive a corporate gift still remember receiving that 6 months after. So I think we've had it before, even James, when we did quite a creative direct mail campaign. we did a bespoke ABM fairy tale, and all of our prospects were positioned as a hero or a heroine of that fairy tale. I think I've spoken to a couple of people a year or two later that have become contacts and friends of mine. They've still got it sat on their desk or in their drawer somewhere that they show to people from time and time again. So just shows that something really creative and bespoke can have a massive impact sometimes.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think gifting isn't just gifting isn't just you receive it and that's it. It can have a very longevity kind of impact. So as long as you do your research and really understand the recipient and what they like, what they dislike, what's relevant, what's culturally relevant as well is really important. Not just from a religious or national thing, but also from an industry point of view. Recognizing what industry they're in and what's relevant for them and what business, who they work for. I think it can have huge impact, and it's something like you said they'll pull out time and time again. One gift that we sent, as an example, was a table tennis set. Um, and it was something that you could apply, stretch across your desk. So it had like, the net that stretches across the desk and a couple of rackets. And the idea was the meaning behind it was like, stop playing ping pong with your suppliers. Just, choose us. We offer the best, so it's a prospecting campaign essentially. But yeah, the meaning was, quite a fun play on ping pong. But that gift had a huge impact. We've heard time and time again that people are still playing ping pong using those rackets because they loved it so much. So yeah, gifting can have a longevity kind of impact.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely think
Awesome.
it's definitely a growing space. I think again, there's loads of stats and reports saying it's getting more and more popular, more people are using it. I'd argue, well, we're seeing great success with it. I haven't received a direct mail or a gift for a long time from any prospects, so there's still room for growth.
100%, 100%, and the only way to stand out is using tangible things. So digital is staying strictly to digital is just not good enough anymore. You're not going to be noticed. Since the pandemic, inboxes are inundated with email after email after email. People trying to grab our attention. We're on our screens all the time, phones, laptops, TV. You become desensitized to that information. So how do we get people's attention? How do we stand out from the crowd? And gifting is a great way to do so.
So, Manny, why is Barney going to change the way people do sales?
So the challenge in sales often is timing is one thing. So time, we all know that time kills still. So gifting can enable you to stay front of mind, enable you to speed up that, shorten that sales cycle, um, improve your meeting attendance. So there is something called reciprocity. I've always struggled with that word a little bit, reciprocity, which is essentially that fuzzy feeling of you've done something for me. I'm more likely to subconsciously do something in return. It's not you're not necessarily buying them, but it's just a kind of a mutual understanding. So you've sent someone a coffee voucher, a £5 coffee voucher via Barney, for example. They're more likely to attend your meeting request or respond to your email, um, accept your LinkedIn invite, something along those lines, because that you've done something for them. You've just sent a short message to say, "Hey, prospect, here's £5 cost a voucher. It'd be great to get 10 minutes of your time, and you can enjoy a coffee on me." It kind of improves that meeting show rate, meeting acceptance, and also the conversion. So Barney can be used along the entire sales cycle. So from a cold prospect, you can use it at that stage, like I mentioned, that use case. But further down the line, you're looking to demo whatever from a sales point of view. You're trying to do a demo. You recognize it's at a kind of a lunchtime. It's not the most convenient. Send a lunch voucher. Further down the line within the sales cycle, you're looking to convert. You can send another gift. So there's so many touch points within that sales cycle that gifting can be used. And the beauty of Barney is that we encompass all of those things, and we make it really simple, really convenient, and we're with you every step of the way. So we can advise you, we can help you, and we've got tons of industry experience, as well as real knowledge of compliance and budgeting and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think also where we love it at Punch is the fact it just makes you stand out and be different. Like,
Mm.
digital's become really. We can talk a little bit about COVID and how direct mail's evolved over the years, but we all know that since the pandemic and everything else, digital's become really, really noisy. Email click-through rates are plummeting and everything else. And actually, how can you stand out and be different in your sales process? We've been using it from you know, provide that dopamine hit, do something different that everyone else is doing, and just kind of put your best foot forward. I think to add to that, where we've been, I think a big part, like you mentioned, Manny, is timing. So yes, there's that trade-off of when does it become bribey, or you're trying to entice them to sign the deal or take that meeting. I think where we've seen a lot of success is that kind of post discovery, post proposal stage where we've already got a great relationship with them. So we've got them to agree to a meeting, but as a thank you or looking forward to seeing you, here's a coffee voucher, like you said, or even taking it a step further during the pitch stage. And hey, what's the next steps from your point of view? Oh, we've got a board meeting next Tuesday where all the senior leadership team are getting together to discuss this proposal. Cool. Well, guess what? Let's get a box of cookies to rock up on Tuesday morning before that board meeting starts and kind of make an impact and get you front of mind again. So I think there is a big
Yeah,
part of the strategy behind gift and understanding where to use it, which is just as important as the kind of the gift and the act of doing.
exactly.
Chris? What's been your go-to? Because you've been using Barney a lot in the sales process when talking to your potential customers or future customers, shall I say? What's your go-to if you've just done a pitch and you want to say thank you for their time? Like what are you sending on the regular?
Yeah, it's something food related for me. I mean, not just because I love food, but it's just a little sweet treat. Is always goes down well, and you can't get it wrong. I think again, it could be a box of cookies, could be a little pack of donuts, something to say thanks for their time or whatever. But it's just about thanking them for their time and again timing that outreach as a specific next step. So we had an example recently where she mentioned you're not gonna hear from me for the next week or two because I've got a really big pitch I'm working on, a big tender, and my full focus on that. So end of the week, that first week, I just dropped a lunch voucher, said, hey, I'm sure it's been a hectic week. Just make sure you grab yourself a break and take a bit of fresh air, and here's a lunch voucher or whatever. So it just and like way the response we get is the impact we get is stand out, be different. The thank you goes a long way, but even if it doesn't get any initial feedback, you'll soon realize when you next jump on a call with them, oh, that's so nice of you, or so
Mm.
kind of what you did. You didn't need to do that, but you went out of your way to think about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've spoken a bit here about the sales process. How can gifting make an impact on client relationships?
I mean, so gifting can be used not just within the sales journey, but within existing clients. So let's use the punch example that you guys have mentioned. So a new client signed up. They're convinced, they're happy with you guys. They know what you guys are about, but it's all about reinforcing your values. It's all about, how can we get the client to really understand what we're going to do for them. So in the punch example, you guys had that whole theme around growth. We've done it for another business as well, where we're all about let's grow together. Let's show them that we're going to scale. We're going to help them scale as we scale. So um, with an existing client, you can send an onboarding pack that has that kind of theme and messaging. So an avocado bars as an example, or a small spritzer, given that theme, given that example of this is what we're about, and this we're really happy to have you on board. A short message within that makes the client feel valued, that you've given them something that you appreciate the relationship. Also, information packs are really good. So to onboarding and at the onboarding stage to add information packs within your gifting. So it's a great way to kind of get your messaging across. And further down the line, recognizing milestones. We've been together a year, valuing that relationship. Here's a gift. We value your business. It's not bribery. You're not necessarily saying to them, we want you to sign this deal and for another year or so. It's just kind of feels off the cuff. It's all about, having that meaningful relationship with them. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're talking about client advocacy as well. So, you want your client to be shouting about you, not just because you're good at what you do, but because you actually value their relationship.
Yeah, I think there's a big part of that as well. Is I don't want to keep talking about the pandemic and years gone by, but going for lunches, taking people out for dinner used to be a big thing, and that was the way business got done, and it still is. but that's got, we've now got a lot more global as a business from a lot of our clients I've never met because they're in different countries or different continents. So
Mm.
actually, this is a way to, again, just kind of thank them, keep front of mind. I think the big thing for us, we realised fairly early on, particularly at Punch, and this is probably a tip for anyone looking at you doing this, particularly in customer service teams, is trying to automate as much as possible. Or what a lot of salespeople struggle with, or even client service people, is when should I send the gift? How what's the cadence of activity? How often is too often, and etc. So we've again built out workflows within our business that alerts our client service team if a client's got a birthday coming up, if their 1 year anniversary is coming up, if they've moved house or there's a big life event gone on. They're the sort of things we should jump on, just to say, hey, congrats on your new promotion, or congrats on your birthday, or whatever it may be,
Mm.
opposed to just the kind of, yes, the corporate gifting, which is your Christmas present or your Easter present or whatever. It's above and beyond that, and that layer of personalisation that's bespoke to them. So rather than swag or branded, company items, we know they're a massive England rugby fan. So guess what? I'll send them an England rugby scarf when the World Cup kicks off or whatever. I'm not a rugby fan, so that might be a terrible analogy. But,
I'll send
No,
them
it's
an
perfect.
England. I'll send them an England rugby themed ruler.
yeah, everyone loves a ruler.
The funny thing is, the
Uh,
rugby ball couldn't be more of an odd shape, but yeah. But yeah, you're 100% right, Chris. Ultimately, it comes down to valuing the relationship between you and your client. So, gifting is a great way to reinforce that.
But so
yeah.
so Manny, obviously, I know we've mentioned it a few times, and not usually, but the pandemic came along, and everyone was office based, and it was really easy to get gifts to them because you assumed 4 or 5 days a week everyone was in the office address on the website, and you can make sure a gift rocks up and has an impact. How's
Mm.
that changed over the years, and what are you doing at Barney to kind of make sure you still getting those gifts delivered?
Yeah, so the pandemic meant that everyone became remote, and suddenly, office addresses had to become home addresses. So, we don't know everybody's necessarily home address. So it's about how do we get gifts delivered. So the way Barney does it is that you can send the gift via a link and allow the recipient to redeem themselves and pop in their address details themselves. So the beauty of that is not only could they be from working from home or working from the office, you may not know, they might be on holiday at that point, they might be temporarily living elsewhere, but it's all down to them. They know where they are at which point. You, as the sender, are not necessarily going to know. So, yeah, the pandemic meant that remote working is now more prominent than ever. As prior people were in office based. Um, but yeah, it doesn't mean gifting is impossible. We can still send remotely, internationally. Um, Whatever address someone pops in is not a problem.
Yeah, makes sense. And how is Barney different to other gifting platforms?
Barney essentially allows, not just our kind of industry experience and knowledge of from a compliance point of view and things like that with my wife's HR background, but also allows you to kind of introduce the personalization factor with gifting. It feels more personal than other kind of competitors out there. Um, it also enables you to add voice notes, handwritten postcards, things like that, things that go a long way for the recipient to feel connected to the sender. Now more than ever, whether it be cold prospects or even existing clients, it's very transactional. Um, Barney introduces more personal elements to it with voice notes and things like that. So yeah, definitely, I feel like the personal element as well as our kind of industry knowledge and our expertise on gifting, as I mentioned at the top of the call, giving you ideas in terms of how to get that real dopamine hit, as Chris said, so really get an impact. And yeah, recognizing there's a rugby fan, how do we really tap into them rather than sending, a ruler?
Unless you're a fan, you might find someone that's a fan of rulers. What sort of cool campaigns have you done via Barney? Like, what are some good examples?
A great example is one actually we've done recently. So, a coaching platform, Corndale, they were running an event, a virtual event, and they wanted to send a gift to encourage attendance. So, essentially, their campaign was all around themed around connecting the dots, and they sent out a Connect Four, a mini travel Connect Four, So we came up with that kind of theme. We said, look, connect the dots, send a Connect Four with a QR code. The QR code allowed individuals to sign up to the event. So they could measure directly the success of that campaign using that QR code. So it was really good, really trackable, really impactful. You know, you can pop that Connect 4 on your desk and have a little play in your downtime.
Sounds awesome. Great. Manny, it's been amazing. Thanks for stopping by. Where can our audience find Barney?
You can find Barney at frombarney.com. Tons and tons of info on there regarding what we do and how beneficial it can be to you, your business. And yeah, you know, I'm more than happy to do a demo, run a demo by anyone who comes by the platform. So yeah, plenty of links on there, plenty of information about what we do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Manny.
No problem.